I'm passionate about lift modernisation, and I think we're losing the skill base. And also, don't take it personally, but I think some of the conferences we've seen in recent years, we're spending too much time on traffic analysis, which is being. I was in court a year or so ago where someone was saying 0.5 a second makes a lift from good to average. That good to average equates to about £5 a square foot. 0.5 a second. It's not life-threatening, but this is the other experts saying it. But so I'm a bit concerned about where we're going. Right. Well, when does lift old? When does it require transplant, brain surgery, facelift, modernisation, refurbishment, whatever you like to call it? Some of these lifts, the right-hand lift is from a drawing. The rest of them are from recent, in the last 5-10 years pictures. And to modernise those would be very difficult, but they can be modernised. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. The bottom right-hand one, someone's put a guard in there, not very nice guard, but they're still running around the world, mainly in old Eastern Europe and Switzerland, and I understand there's still some flying around in South America. But these are not unique. There's hundreds of these around the world, and there's a lot in the UK. Until the insurance companies say they have to be put in. Numbers, facts. There was estimated 4.5 million units in Europe installed under maintenance. Of those, 200,000 are in the UK. That is data from Lear, now, whenever, from March 2000. Those figures are probably low because they're only based on people who are members of a trade association. And estimates are there's probably another 15% on those numbers. Of those, there's 114,000 approximately were installed prior to 1986. From our point of view, 86 is a benchmark. That is when we start thinking about historic lifts. Our personal view. Other people may say no. And within Europe, there's an estimated 64% of lifts have been maintained are in residential building, and there's only 14% in offices. So we spend a lot of time thinking about offices where the main thrust is actually outside of offices. Metros, residential, hospitals, you can get your sports centres. And if you look at the top image, that's an elevator we did in London recently. 1923, our way good, bronze. I had to look through the historic records, and Dr. Bray will be interested in this. The only thing we couldn't find, and we found a similar image, was the light fitting. And that is now exactly the same as that was put in 1923. The only difference we've got is there's a 3-panel side opening door, which was manual. Then now it's automatic. All the other fixtures sourced, manufactured to replicate what was there. So it can be done. Lift companies said to us, can't do it, put new lifts in, which would be terrible. We looked at Poland, because we've got a very good relationship with Poland. It could have been quite easy, the Czech Republic could have quite easily been Hungary. They've all got the same things. 33% approximately of lifts in Poland are over 60 years old. And they're running, and they're safe, and they haven't been condemned by insurance companies. Even the lift companies don't condemn them. So if they had changed the law and all the lifts had to comply with the regulation DN81, it would, in our opinion, it's our opinion, that it would be historic vandalism. There's some lovely lifts still around. Not so much in Warsaw, but in the outlying small towns and big towns and cities, there's some fantastic lifts. And if you go to Prague, you can see the same. If you go to Slovakia, you can see the same as well. So, okay, opinion. What is lift modernisation? It's a technical cookbook of ingredients that can be found, so they have to be blended correctly in the right proportions. It's no good having a controller which is not compatible with the door operator, or the door operator not compatible with the drives or the machines. So to get it right, you need the skills of an engineer, such as an artist. You've got to make sure it works correctly. I said previously that on the job we did, the lift companies wanted to put a new lift installation in. They wanted to rip it out and put a package lift in. When you get the package lift, and I apologise to any lift companies here, you are limited to what they are going to do. They're going to say you can have 3 colours of bronze or formica. You can have this door operated, you can't have another door. So I couldn't say I wanted a safety gear from down the bottom there, or some stainless steel from down there, or a controller from outside. You're limited on the new lifts to what the lift company wants to do. So you're stuck with it. And I've got no problems with that in certain lifts, on new buildings, but on modernisation I've got a real problem with it. The skilled engineer, and we use engineer in the words that someone working in the lift industry. They're technically not engineers because they're not chartered, but engineer is a UK term, and I think we can get away with that, or technicians. They have a much more of a blank canvas approach towards components and materials, how to blend, the cookbook. I know these are new lift installations, but these people are putting this stuff in on the backbone. They know how to blend, they know how to cut, they know how to, if there's a bracket, they know where to go and get one fabricated. Right. The good model is an important advantage, it doesn't lose its character. Now, on the left-hand slide, there's a car before we took over. The beauty of that is, I'm not a wood expert, but I think it's mahogany. Could have been teak. You can't use it. You can't use mahogany or teak now. To throw it away would be a waste. It would just go in the skip. After we'd finished the modernisation, we got the filigree up here, back to where it was, it'd been painted. The only thing I don't like, and it's just personal, is why the hell did we put a digital indicator in? We could have put a nice indicator used in an LED light that blended. But that's just personal. That is an architect's view. And the other thing is you could say it doesn't comply with DDA. Well, no, it doesn't. But it was put. The lift was put in 1934 originally. We can, if we know what we're talking about, we can restore the lift that's there, the original specification, which has been working for 60, 70 years, which is reliable, and as it's lasted 60, 70 years, there's no reason why it can't last for another 50, 60, 70 years either. It has got a far greater life expectancy than a modern standard generic range. We know that we are pulling out model lifts which are less than 10 years old now because they've come to the end of their useful life. You know, that's a fact, and I'm sure if we talk to people here, they will say it. Depends, they've got the duty. Alright, we look at things called mission critical systems. What are mission critical systems? They're systems where the life safety of a person. So a mission critical system is not an indicator. It's not a loose handrail. It's not a light bulb though. It is the safety gears, the gears, overspeed guns. Now the top right hand one is, I'm sure everybody knows, an Otis lift relay technology. It's nice to see it hasn't been covered up with guards and various other things. Because as soon as you put a guard on, the maintenance of the lift goes down because people can't get the guards off. The bottom left hand is a DC machine which we're looking at, and we're doing some forensic engineering on as we speak. Not just on one, we're doing on 16. The middle one is an old-fashioned round guides, safety gear, and people say if you've got round guides, you can't do anything with it. Rubbish. You can get a safety gear that operates on round guides. Get them from France. And then obviously the infamous flyball governor, which are absolutely superb. They're a bit of engineering, and I've seen these in people's offices. Yeah, I think everybody would love one here. One you can lift, they weigh about 150 kilos. On the forensic engineering, we've just highlighted some ideas, which we do. Maybe wrong, maybe right. There's other methods of doing it, which are in the paper. But if you take an inspection, and it came out yesterday about the competent person doing an inspection. If we looked at this typical worm drive, and we did an oil sample here and there. If you looked at the oil sample, just looked at it, touched it, it's yellow, it's warm, the colour's good. But then when you look at the viscosity, just there, it's way into the red. So it may look okay, but the life and the lubrication properties are absolutely shot. Then, it's useless. And then you go down further to do the metallic inspections, and down here you've got the copper and tin. Red. Why? We don't know. And because on this job we found that the A bearing was going. Now if you did a visual inspection of this, on there, you wouldn't know the A bearing was going. And the A bearing was going because the bed plate was flexing. On the gear inspection, I don't see how anybody can do, even a competent person, can do a gear inspection in less than half a day, maybe a day. Some people say they do a gear inspection in half an hour. If you do, they're not the competent person, because how do you actually inspect down there? You can't do it. So that's why we do this first, to see what's there, and then go further. Maybe right, maybe wrong. That's why we do it, and it works for us. This is the controller. There's some nice controllers out around at the moment. The modernisation engineer that doesn't know what he's doing will opt for throwing away a relay technology. Oops, go back. A relay technology controller, and there's no reason why we can't have relay technology controllers still. We're doing a project in Southern Africa at the moment. Major manufacturer, one printed circuit boards has gone after a year. First of all, there's no defects liability in the country, and the lift company wants $3,000 to replace a printed circuit board. Probably just a component in it. If they've gone for a relay technology, you can see where the relay's gone, you can rewind it, put it in. So where the technology, there's a technological difference, and you don't need electronic controllers for most of the jobs. You can't get relay technology, but I think we should be going. The unskilled modernisation engineer will opt for an easy replacement because he doesn't know what is happening. This is probably controversial. The maintenance of lifts is critical to get everything right. Lift companies at the moment are cutting down maintenance to the bone. 34 minutes for a lift maintenance is not unusual. What can you do in it? And that is based on electronic controllers where they don't need it. If you've got a relay technology, you need more time. If you put really more time, lift companies don't get the maintenance. So therefore, it just goes down and down and down. And it's all down to this. If I've got a maintenance contract for £1,000 today, give me 5 minutes, I'll get it for 950. Give me 10 minutes, I'll get it for 800. Go. Well, I'll get good maintenance, it doesn't matter. As a result, we're getting reduced maintenance on the lifts, and this is not unusual. These are big companies, top of the lift car, and they're recommending a modernisation new lifts. How can you recommend new lifts when you can't even get the old lifts? And this has been it like for months. This is outside, this is a lift control cabinet, this is just left there. This was on a fully comprehensive contract. And this one here we put on just a bit of fun. There's a hands-free telephone there, and the person cooking it up, so they actually used the pigeon to die, and it died there. So we had 3 failures there. The lift failed, the potato phone, and the pigeon died. But that lift was on maintenance until maybe 6 months ago. And that condition of that lift is not because the lift building is shut down. It's been like that for months. Right. I said about Poland. They're actually pursuing modernisation of old lifts. We know that because we've got some very good contacts in Poland. So I said earlier, 32% of the lifts running in Poland are 60 years old. This is Warsaw, and typical country around, international mediocre design, high-rise building, nothing special. You wouldn't even know that was Warsaw unless you looked at this, maybe that one there. The rest of it could be anywhere. But there's no reflection on the younger lift engineers, because lift engineers are not being trained to look out for modernisation. They're being trained to replace, comply with safety, comply with EN81, comply with all the safety regulations. But in our opinion, there's a room for both the restoration engineer and the new lift engineers. You know, these are new buildings, which are totally different. But down here, there's a lot of old buildings. And when you start going outside of Warsaw, outside of Prague, outside of Budapest, lots of small buildings, lots of residential buildings with some lovely old lifts in there. So this is where the young engineer is good for the high-rise, international mediocre, but then outside we need a different type of engineer. And it's down to training. All right, codes and standards and good practice. We are inundated with them. And if you work, as we do around the world, National Building Code, Singapore standards, Hong Kong standards, Chinese standards, Russian standards, where do we actually start? For new lifts, I can understand it, but there's so much misinformation in these standards. You read one, it says one thing. You read another one, it says another thing. So, but we've got to be understanding where we can apply the codes and where we don't apply the codes. So the new lifts, I've got no problems with it. All right, prior to the direction of the lift directive, we had lifts being put in England from Japan. We had lifts being imported from America. So we've got Japanese standard, Japanese threads, and American standard, American threads, especially on big gearless machines. And example there is that we're doing a job where we had a Japanese lift company put in, and there was a damaged guide rail. Our question was, what was the guide rail? Was it ISO? Was it a British guide rail? Was it with Imperial Dome? Was it an A17 guide rail or a Japanese guide rail? All slightly different. All slightly different. That's just an easy example. So you've got to understand where it is. And also prior to, I think it's 73, it's in the paper, we were using imperial dimensions in the UK, then it became to metric. So the old lifts have got imperial dimensions. So you can't put a metric bolt in or replace them. So you've got to be very careful when that lift is, what it is put in. We know that there is still guide rails of round, there's still wooden guide rails. And we can't replace them with T-sections. We'd love you to, but if we did, we'd have to have a structural assessment on the sharp walls because of the pull-outs, and possibly a new car and a new sling. So just say, put a new guide rail in is not the right way of doing it because you've got to do an assessment of the sharp wall. And a lot of the sharp walls are masonry. So then you've got to do pull-out tests, and what happens if it fails. And the final thought, it's not, the lift engineer, skilled modernisation is not limited by the lift engineer, but also where the options available. And they must be sympathetic lift conservationists. And otherwise we'll end up with, in our opinion, historic vandalism. Thank you.